Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing today?
Good evening. How are you? Happy birthday.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. I'm holding on. I'm gonna make six like the new 20. So my son is 33, so every year it gets higher the bar that I can date. Okay, so I'd be older than my son. Okay, everyone remember your camera has to be on when you're in session with me. I want all of your attention. I
Happy
want to know.
birthday again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Lots of fun, lots of good food.
Awesome.
I love to be in a city where everyone looks like me, and I don't live in a city like that. So I try to travel to make sure that I get that option.
Good.
Okie dokie. I live in Chattanooga, but from Miami, and literally my children living in it's like New York. It's very diverse. There's people from everywhere. So lots of acculturation of what happens in the South. And people say, yo, you're from the South. Miami is like New York. It's not the South. So like North Georgia is the South, but in Miami, it's the big city where, people don't talk to each other. And the living in the South, the hardest thing was get used to like people just talking to you. Like, why are you talking to me? Like, this is not what we do. So that was definitely a culturation for us. Okay, so tonight I'm talking about treatment planning and the overall process and SMART goals. So you'll see that in the intervention part of how we're doing intervention and assessment and intervention. That's where we're coming at from tonight. Ask me questions. Something you've seen on a test somewhere, something you've seen on a Pocket Prep or a YouTube or a RayTube or I don't know, anybody. I always want to make sure if you're taking practice questions that you understand why it's the question. Oh, I just love it when you talk so much. It makes my life so much easier.
What therapeutic techniques to use for that specifically, motivational interviewing?
I use motivational interviewing when you're in denial. So I don't think you're in denial. I think you just, I think that for the test, that silence is okay for a few minutes.
Okay.
But if you're silent for more than 30 minutes, I have to say something. So when it comes to silence, it's always the time frame is okay. Okie dokie. Everybody's LM tonight? Samantha, LM? Sean, LM? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And again, when it comes to treatment planning, there's not a lot of difference. Really, just there are more interventions on the LC, but for the LM, it's still the same. Most of you are repeat test takers. So, how did you do in interventions and assessment intervention? How did you do in that area?
I didn't do well. I actually was doing questions last night and I came through an intervention question. I'm actually trying to find it so we can go over it.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah.
Anybody else recall anything that you've seen? So in general, let's just kind of lay out how the test goes, or how social work goes, and it may go different in your office, but for the test, this is what they're looking for. So the screening happens, right? So the screening happens before someone sees you. So they call in. It's usually a secretarial type person, and someone determines if they're appropriate for your agency. Okay. Do you know the words catchmentary?
Yes.
What does that mean?
You'll have to, it's something have to do with your zip code.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely. If you work especially for community mental health, people have to live in the right zip code because, well, right now there's no funding, but there used to be funding. Maybe next week there'll be funding. but there's funding based on your area. It's literally called your catchment area. So it's the area of that you service. I'm out for you. How do you know that term? That's a grant writing term sometimes.
Listen to your videos.
Very good. I don't use that one often. Oh, you had to listen hard. Put it on our, put it in your chat box, and I'll also put it on our screen for today. So when I talk about catchment area, that's something that many times the intake person will pick up on. As you all know, we don't expect there to be any food stamps for November 1st. So what we know is then lots of services, lots of areas will be saying seek your local food bank. Depending on your area and where money comes from in your area, then they'll be guided to food banks that are in their catchment area. Catchment area in many cities, it's just the state, not the government, the state gives dollars based on where you live. So that means you have to show your ID, you have to have 2 forms of ID to use this agency. So the screening person might say, hey, you don't live in our zip code, go here, here, and here. Okay, so it is, that's based on, well, federal government funding, and states set the guidelines. Does everybody understand how government and state works when it comes to funding? I'm going to keep talking anyway. Okay, so just so how we know. So, so the federal government determines Social Security. Everybody gets the same percentage of Social Security, no matter what state you live in. Okay, so that's how much you paid in, how much you pay out, no matter what state you live in. It's based on a percentage of what you paid in. That's run totally by the feds. Like Social Security is the different building than the food stamp office. So now when it comes to state dollars, so now that's Medicaid, SNAP benefits, state health care, the government gives the state dollars. And states then decide based on their poverty level and then how they decide to allocate the money. When I first moved to Tennessee, and I would see these kids, living in inner city, and they had braces. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like struggling to put braces on my kids. And in Tennessee at that time, that was part of how Tennessee used their dollars. So right now, since there's no money coming from the federal government, states do have some money because it's usually been matching funds. So it depends on the state if they have enough in reserves to pay for your food stamps. So they say it'll all be cut off. The government didn't fund it to any state, but some states, I doubt it, may have saved some. So some states still might get some food stamps. So it's federal dollars, but it's usually matched by state dollars, and the state decides how they're going to spend it. So the government, the poverty level in Georgia is not the same thing that it is in New York, right? So Georgia may say this is what we require, and Florida may say this. In general, in the past, Washington hasn't had a lot of say so. That the states decided how you spent your money, and that was based on state legislature. Okay. And I tread very carefully. I'm trying to show factual information and keep my opinion to myself. So at this point, the government is shut down. So there are no federal dollars going anywhere. And it's the state's a business, right? The states can't go in the red. So if I don't know when federal dollars are going to come in, then I can't spend what I don't have. So hopefully we might see some state dollars opening state-funded food banks. state funded, because most states still have some in their reserve. We don't usually, we just got a little savings account checked away, right, in case of a rainy day. So that's what's happening right now. I had a grading post with my students. I teach college, and we were talking, and then that was the conversation about policy, and then always tying it into the real world. So whenever we teach anything, I always want you to tie it into the real world. You're not learning policy just because. I'm not teaching you intake because it's because this is what you do every day. Okay. So now the intake, again, that is somebody who sits at the front desk. They do some screening. They decide where you live, if you're tall enough, whatever your rules are. That's what happens there. So now comes the assessment piece. Okay. So the intake, screening, and assessment. Now the screening and the assessment, screening, intake, and assessment. Let me try that again. Screening comes first. So screening decides who's getting in and who's not. Now, the intake process can be done by the clinician, or it may be done by another person. And at your agencies, do you do the intake as well as the intake and the assessment? The intake would be just the forms. The assessment would be then getting to a biopsychosocial or an MSc or any of those other things. So what happens where you guys work? Great. And what do you do?
I'm actually not working right now.
And I think I've asked you that question like 12 times, haven't I? When you did your internship, how did that work?
I used to do the intakes.
And what did that look like?
Basically you just fill out like the missing information like of the client's file. And then I just ask them important questions like whatever's missing, and then you also do the treatment planning as well.
Okay. Did you use any forms there? Any assessment pieces? Did you do biopsychosocial? Did you do an MSc? Any of those things?
No.
Okay. So that would have been, so intake and assessment were two different things?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? What happens, Rashawn, in the agency that you have worked at in the past?
So, well, I can go by when I was at my internship doing therapy. So, the intake, like technically, when the children were in the hospital, that part of the intake and the diagnosis was done by someone else. So when they came to me, it was me, asking questions, but more or less like doing the treatment plan, meeting with the families, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Did you use any tools?
Um, no, I don't think not for the no, I didn't.
Okay.
I know,
So,
well, like treatment plan was person centered, like I knew that kind of stuff,
so that's an intervention. The
Oh,
tools are the MSc, the MMPI, a
mhm.
psychosocial and a biopsychosocial are considered the tools. A therapeutic observation. I watch in my office and I see how the parents behave with their kid. So that's a tool. So a screening tool means did I document? Did I use instruments to kind of determine what I was looking for? So you all probably used a biopsychosocial assessment. Yes? Valerie, what's the difference between a biopsychosocial and a psychosocial? Valerie? Are you talking? You're
Yep,
muted.
I was talking to myself.
Okay.
A biopsychosocial, isn't it basically like the history of the person that you're doing the intake?
So my question was, what's the difference between a biopsychosocial and a psychosocial?
Biopsychosocial would be the family component versus the individual.
Bio is biological. So bio many times is the genetic piece. With little kids, we always do a biopsychosocial assessment. So we're going to ask the mother, did they walk and talk at the right age? So that bio is the biological piece, the genetic piece. Psychosocial doesn't necessarily give me the the genetic piece. Okay. Y'all remember when y'all took your first step? No. Okay. So we don't usually use that with adults. Sorry. One second. Did you realize there was a difference? Many people don't. And sometimes that's the piece to understanding what we're looking for. So a biopsychosocial, and I'll share my screen. Come on. One second. So I'm going over the steps because you need to know how the steps are on the test, not what you do in your world, right? Because every agency has its own policy and its own steps. And that's great and all, but the test doesn't care. All that matters is according to the textbook, how are we supposed to behave? Let me share my screen, make my tool light bigger. And I know you're thinking, like, Dr. Pam, I've never seen this on the test. Yes, you have. You just didn't realize it. You didn't realize maybe what they were asking you. So I started off with the catchment area that really talks about the services in it's literally your zip code. Okay. There are also definitely financial requirements, but catchment area literally is in where you live. We were giving federal dollars to serve this community and only this community. It's not that we don't want to help you. We just don't have enough. Okay. So then we talked about then the process. So the referral or the engagement. So I remember, we'll come back to case management, but the assumption is this new client has come to our agency. Okay. And somebody is going to start contact with the agency. So the screening is that's where, again, not the social worker, that's where we discuss money. Other than if a client can't afford it, something, we don't discuss money with the clients. Y'all know when y'all discuss money, it changes the relationship, right? You gone out like twice, 3 times, and now he's like, you gonna pick up a check this time, honey? Like, I don't know about that, right? That money changes relationships. So we really don't want to have that conversation. We want it done by somebody else. We're trying to focus on building therapeutic rapport. So the screening is, do they fit? So does their present, do we treat this illness, right? Or do we meet the eligibility treatment? And are they getting it someplace else? We're much better now because we all have lovely internet. We have ways of seeing who's getting what. But back in the day when I practiced, we didn't have this any kind of network system. And so it's literally making sure you weren't getting the same services from somebody else. I can tell you in early days of social work, I knew about the resources because my clients would tell me. So-and-so down here is giving away some furniture, and so-and-so's over here, because they tapped out every resource. So now the screening is, do they fit for our agency? Now we're doing the intake. Okay. So the intake then is usually the basics, your demographics. We're okay with demographics being close-ended questions. Right. Oh, don't take notes. Don't take notes. You're going to watch this video 15 times, pens down. Just be with me. Mindfulness. Enjoy the moment. You get this video for the rest of your life if you want it. God, I hope not. Okay. But I do hope that you watch it at least 15 times. Remember, so it's a 2-hour video. So that would be watching it 3 times tomorrow, watching the first half in the morning, the second half in the afternoon, and then the first half again at night. Remember, we don't want you to sit and take notes every single time you listen to the video. We really want to be in your head. I just want to be in your head, playing even when you don't realize that you're listening to me. I want to be at your dinner table when you're making dinner. I want to be in your car. For most of you, the way that you've been attempting to study is to take notes and take practice tests and memorize it. It's not working. You're my smart kids. You've never had to study. And what we teach is how to study. And for really, it's 6 years worth of school in one test. And I always say, if you don't have a BSW, you are behind, because there's some information at the BS level, they think you already know. Okay. So definitely, I'll give you a copy of the APGAR BSW if you don't have a BSW. So really learning those terms is really important. It's easier read, not at the intervention level, but definitely at the basics level. My demographics, right? That's their age, their gender, my presenting problem, right? What are you presenting for? Their history, consent forms. That's all part of the informed consent, right? Okay. Now then, the assessment is when I'm going to look at some of those terms. Give me an idea of some assessment tools that you've seen. The biopsychosocial is definitely an assessment tool. What else would be a tool? A sheet of paper that you use in your agency. What's the MSE for?
Mental status exam.
Ding, ding, ding. How many of you have done one of those or seen one of those done in your office?
Yes.
What is the MSE measure for, Anne? Good job, Anne. Keep talking.
I kind of forgot.
It's literally your mental status right now, right in front of me.
Right, yeah.
Okay. So am I sharing the MSA? Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So the MSA is an assessment tool. Okay. So I'm teaching the verbs, and this is not research. This is really intake and assessment. So when I come in and I see a client, remember, for the test, you should only, Rasheen and Samantha, put your pens down. I'm the popo. Let me see your hands. Come on. Both hands, both hands, both hands. No. In mindfulness, enjoy the moment. You're so big. I talk so fast, and you're going to take notes, and you're going to miss what I said. You're going to ask me something. I'll be like all in attitude because I said it already. And just come on, just work with me. So really, the goal is that you're in the room with the brightest people. You are. The other people who've passed the test have better study material. Better test taking skills, but they're a little bit dumber than you are because they know how to study. You guys just don't, because you never had to. Am I wrong? Y'all was struggling, except for research and assessment. Did y'all struggle in college? Ain't none of y'all, please. You got a rubric, you went home, you wrote it up, and you did it the next day, and you got an A. Okay. So this is a very different type of test. And again, I don't mind that you take notes, but when you're in the session, just learn from the moment. Okay. So when I come in for the MSE, all I see is what I see in front of me. I see your appearance, your speech, your eye contact. What does your motor activity mean? Samantha, what's that mean?
I want to say, I guess like how you present it, as far as, I don't know, your ability to move. Yeah.
Okay. So remember back with Piaget, his first stage was sensory motor. I know you remember that, right? SPCF. Piaget said babies learned to learn with their 5 senses as they begin to move. They begin to walk and crawl. So your motor activity is are you sitting still? Are you wiggling in the chair? Are you like, oh, it's my turn, it's my turn, it's my turn? So motor activity is what's happening. How do I present when I'm sitting in front of you? Okay. So usually if I have to go to a emergency room or some hospital, I'm usually sitting like this. And it's not because I'm all in deep to myself and I don't want to share. It's because it's freezing. Okay. So you may misconstrue my body language, but that's what it means, that motor activity. Is it normal? Is it restless? Is she pacing up and down? She got some tics. right? Something just she can't stop. Is it slowed? Right. So if I'm coming in and I've been using some marijuana, I might be walking really slow, but I don't know it. So I've heard. I don't live in a legal marijuana state, so I know, but I've heard. When in Amsterdam, you should check it out. That's all I got to say. Okay, so your affect. What does that term mean, Valerie?
Affect is how you look.
It should match your mood.
Should
The
match.
affect should match your mood. Absolutely. So
Hi,
then,
I'm doing great today.
look at you. You learned something, didn't you? My
You taught me that.
schizophrenics have flat affect. It does. All right. So if I am talking to the client and it's restricted, labile, all of those things. So that's all I can do with an MSC is I can only tell you what I see. When it comes to their mood, their cognitive impairment. You might see the term, you've probably seen the term sensorium, sensorium. Since that is not spelled right. Sensorium. SORUM, something like that. Yeah, sensorium. Have you seen it on the test before? That's a very common term. Do you know what it means? It's a term that belongs to the MSC, and your sensorium are your senses. Do you know who you are, where you are? Do you know who the president is? So you'll use that in an MSC. That's part of an assessment tool of using the finding out. So it's most of you have seen this on the test and probably just didn't know what it meant. Is that fair to say? Okay, so sensorium, that's that term. I'm going back to my mental status exam again. Okay, so I'm looking at your cognitions. Your cognition, that first one is, do you know who you are, where you are? Do you know what's the first one of these that you lose track of? Have you ever taken a nap in the middle of the afternoon? Time, ding, ding, ding. You take a nap in the middle of the afternoon and you wake up and you're thinking, oh my God, where am I supposed to be? Right? Is it Sunday? Is it Monday? Like, where am I supposed to be? So time is the one that most often we use track of. Memory orientation, the examiner will ask you to, give you 3 words to remember: a cat, a dog, and a ball, right? I'll come back to you with your short-term memory, long-term memory. Can you pay attention? Hallucinations. Hallucinations, remember, all 5 of my senses hallucinate. I can taste things, I can smell things, I can see things, I can hear things, and I can feel things crawling that no one else feels or sees. Okay. Can I diagnose you because you're hallucinating right now in front of me? Why not? Ray, your mouth isn't moving, but I don't hear you. Tell me why. You're right. Tell me why.
Oh, I was thinking, isn't it a time period, right? It has to go on after a certain.
It is. Absolutely. So what is the first symptom of schizophrenia? What's the first diagnosis? Right. Brief psychotic. That's 3
brief.
days.
Oh yeah, brief.
Yeah,
3 to 30 days.
Got it. Got it. So just because you're hallucinating in front of me, I can diagnose you with dementia. I'm sorry, not dementia, delirium.
Yep.
But not dementia, right? Delirium can be caused by lack of potassium. With older people, many times who have dehydrated, they forget where they're at. That doesn't mean that's a schizophrenic. It just means that right now that's what they're seeing. So remember, with this MSE assessment, I cannot diagnose you. It's only what I see in front of me. My delusions are my thoughts. My suicidal, my homicidal. Am I going to hear somebody do I hear or see things? That's my delusions. And of course, homicidal, am I going to kill somebody? Suicidal. Okay. And my insight and judgment. What's insight mean? For this,
I feel like if you understand,
yeah.
Like, do you understand what's going on?
Yes. Excuse me, Mr. Spivey. We found you walking down the middle of the highway with no clothes on in the middle of the night. Do you know how you got there? I
No.
don't know. Okay, that's okay. So you have no insight. And judgment is, of course, okay. So if we let you go home now, would you go home, put your clothes on? Do you know where you're at? So that is one of the tools that we'll see. We'll see quite a few tools. Okay, this is a part of the assessment. What's the GAD, GAD, or the PHQ-9?
One is for generalized anxiety, and the other one is for depression.
Very good, very good. So those are again a list of terms that you might see. What do you do? And tell me what you see at your job. Anybody? Y'all use no tools at all, ever.
Well, for me, for my job, we do that's built in to
You do which one?
I do both
Okay.
to include the MSc. It's
Okay.
built into my intake evaluations that I do.
Okay. So a part of that, so we're at the assessment piece, and those are some of the terms that we're going to see. The PHQ-9 is usually used in hospitals, but that's a common one as well. There's a Beck's depression scale. There's a Beck's anxiety scale. There are suicide scales. So all of those things are things that I really might use in this session. Okay. MMPI, what does that measure?
Is that personality?
Well, it is, but tell me more.
IQ?
Nope. IQ and personality are two different things. We would not do an IQ test.
Right, we
That's
don't like
out of
it.
our field, our wheelhouse. Okay. Emily, you know what the MMPI measures?
Your level of craziness.
Your level of girl, somebody watching my videos. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it is considered a personality test, but it is not how nice are you. It's how crazy are you. Okay. So we use the MMPI. I think we're on like the 17 version. I don't know. Ray, put your pen down, boy. Yeah, okay, whatever.
No, I'm eating Teddy Graham.
Okay. If I'd been the police, you'd have been shot. You made a move with your hand. Okay, so I apologize for that. The MMPI is 567 forced choice answers. That means that you don't have a choice but to answer true or false. It is written so that you're not supposed to be able to lie. Okay? So it starts off the same thing, the same way every way. It starts off with, here we go. It starts off the exact same way. You've seen it in movies. I like mechanics magazines. I have a good appetite. It's yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. What I'm looking for, again, is deviance in your personality. This is the oldest test that we have, and it's older than the DSM. We still use this. I've done this many times. You're qualified to do this once the clinical will pay for it. And you're really looking at things you could, it's a different way of diagnosing. Okay, so it's 567 questions. It's written so you're not supposed to be able to lie. That if you answer wrong on one question, then I can pick it up differently on a different question. And it looks at if you're a hypochondriac, if you're depression. I remember hypochondriac now is called illness anxiety disorder, major depression, psychopathy deviant, that's my antisocial. If you're too masculine or too feminine. And that may seem strange, but if you're going to be in the military and you're going to be in a group of all men, I don't want someone who's got very feminine, stereotypical characteristics in a submarine with men for 6 months. Okay. You're at paranoia, you're at level of trust. Cyclothanasia is the old term for OCD, schizophrenia, hypomanic level, and social inversion. It's the oldest test we have. And yes, it does look at personality, but not how nice you are. It's the craziness in your personality. Okay. So I would use those tools as part of the assessment tool. Okay. Now, once I've assessed those, I've got all those tools together. Then what I'm going to do is now it's called case conceptualization. That's the term for it. So I am going to then talk to the client about what I think their problem is. Okay. This is how it works for the text. Okay. I don't know what happens in your agency. All I care is how social workers are supposed to operate by the book. So now I've conceptualized the case. I've got all the information. I've got all the testing scores. I've watched them behave in my office. I might have gotten some collaterals as well. What does that term mean?
Obtaining information from other sources.
Professionals.
Absolutely. Professionals. Thank you very much. Am I going to ask their mama? No, because I'm gonna lie for my kids. I don't know what y'all talk about. I told my kids, they know. I will hide the knife. I will wipe it off. I will. I'm just letting you know right now. Okay, I will. So don't ask the mama. Okay, ask the professional. So that's the school teacher. That's all of those things. That's still part of that assessment process, right? You're trying to get a really good picture of this case. Now, once you do that, whether it's a diagnosis, because you can diagnose at this point, or whether it is then just what the problem is, that's when we now go into our treatment planning. So when we talk about assessment and intervention, this is where we're headed. Does that make sense? We put all things together. Okay. So then, Gloria, put that pen down for me today. Come on, I get all your attention today. It's my birthday yesterday. Yeah, it's still my birthday week in my house. Okay, I get all your attention for at least done with it a couple days. Okay, so you're familiar with these terms, right? SMART goals. Do you work in an agency where you write your own goals, or do you have a machine that does it for you?
I have an AI that does it for me.
Absolutely. So you fill in the diagnosis, right? And it spits out the what we should do. And we run it by the client to make sure they're okay with it. Yes. For the test, we sit down and we discuss it with them first. Okay. I know all of your clients, y'all's clients always have realistic ideas, right? They never have unrealistic goals or plans, or they never got out of prison yesterday and want to buy their mama a house. So the whole goal of now that I've got the diagnosis and I'm doing the treatment planning, it's collaborating together where we're coming up with how we make the plans. And honestly, that's usually a question. What if your client's treatment goals are not realistic? What I'm going to do is that we're going to sit down and have a conversation. I'm not going to, and we can change those from short-term to long-term goals, right? Maybe your long-term goal is to buy your mother a house, but short-term, we're going to look at, let's get your driver's license, right? Let's get a car, all those things. So SMART goals, of course, have to be specific, measurable. I say achievable, realistic, and time-based. And our plan of action and the guidelines, right? We in your agency, how often do you have to check on those goals? What's the rule in your agency?
Oh, at my internship, I think it was 3 months. I forgot. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's
So
every
that's
6 months at my agency.
okay. So there's not a set rule for the test. It is whatever the rule is, right? You have to know that these goals are written just for this time, right? What happens if my client, we've gotten halfway through and we're a couple sessions in and my client hasn't been able to meet those goals? What do I do?
Reassess, look at the goals.
Got it.
Talk to them about it.
Got it. Okay. So what that looks like, and we'll look at test questions. So remember now I'm using my SMART goals, but in addition to that, I also have to be able to tie in my clinical orientation. What does that mean?
Is that the therapy that you're providing to the
Absolutely.
client?
Absolutely. So if I am using narrative therapy, how would that look different if I'm using behavioral therapy?
Is it that narrative is more like getting the client to kind of explain or express their story?
Got it. So my goals are going to be written using the verbiage of a narrative therapist. So our goals are, yes, based on what's best for the client, but also based on the therapeutic intervention that we use. So when we talk about having to know those theories, that's what I'm looking for. What did this particular theorist say? So yes, they have to be specific, measurable, and achievable, but I also have to work on what I'm doing, what my style of working with that. So we're going to start off with some kind of basic questions and then kind of look as we narrow it down what it looks like on a test question. As I talk, does it make any sense of the questions that you're struggling with? Not really, Pam. This makes no sense at all. Good. I'm going to teach you through a couple of vignettes, and then I just want to teach you, and this is not what it looks like on the test. I just want to teach you of what the test is asking you. Okay. Valerie, tell me about Gloria.
Okay. Client Tasia, 31.
I'm sorry. Wow. I said Gloria, but her name is Tasia. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh. You want me to read the
Please.
okay. Client Tasia, 31. Presenting issue referred by HR after workplace outburst. She describes feeling instantly hot and yelling before realizing it. No substance use or psychosis. Report regrets and fear of loss of job loss. Diagnosis, intermediate explosive disorder. Goal, increase impulse control and use adaptive anger management strategies. Objectives, identify physical and emotional cues of anger in 4 or 5 episodes. Use 1 coping skills, deep breathing, timeout, or grounding before responding. Log each anger episode and coping strategies outcome weekly. Interventions, cognitive behavioral anger management training, mindfulness, emotional regulation, TBT, integrations, and psychoeducation on physiological arousal cycle.
Okay. I realize this is not what questions look like, but I want to teach you the concept of what the test is looking for. Okay. So tell me about Tasha.
Tasha, from the beginning, I know I joke around a lot, but in the beginning, it sounds like she's going through menopause.
Well, she's 31. God, I hope not.
Never know.
Valerie, I think you just put you in the question. I'm just gonna say that
sure
that might have been some counter transference. Okay, did y'all if she's going through menopause, she got some bigger problems than this. Okay.
That was me all weekend. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I say, don't be bringing your. Did y'all see according to the book of Valerie? Until I teach that for the test, we don't care what you think.
Okay, well, HR recorded that she had some outbursts at work. There's no substance abuse use or psychosis. She felt instantly hot and started yelling.
You missed her diagnosis. Well, that's a big part of it, right? Your treatment plan is based on her diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem? Do you know what intermittent explosive disorder looks like?
Well, it sounds like she can be explosive 1 minute and fine the next minute.
Okay. Can you give me an example? Because I think you're guessing.
Let's say it could last maybe 5 minutes versus
okay,
15 minutes.
Okay, so there's that's the problem. This is a DSM diagnosis, and I need to know that. Okay. Anybody else have some ideas about it before I give you the actual answer? What do you know about intermittent explosive disorder?
What? She doesn't have coping skills, right? She just explodes.
What do I know about the diagnosis? That's the question. So this is a total just DSM question. What do I know about it?
Is it that it can happen at any time?
Okay. How long does it have to happen? Is there a time frame? Is there an age? Well, yes, there is. Let me tell you about it. Okay. So again, so if I get a question that says she has intermittent explosive disorder, that is not one of our most popular DSM questions, but it's definitely one that you would see. Those are my road rage guys. One second. I'll try to give you an image. So yes, the anger is greater than what happened. It used to be, well, before we kind of thought it as a childhood disorder, but now we realize it's an adult disorder. So it can be diagnosed, I think, as young as 16. I'm not going to pull that for sure before I say for sure. I'll put in your chat box. Okay. Recurrent behavior representing a failure to control aggressive impulses, verbal aggression, physical aggression, three behavior outbursts within a 12-month period. The diagnosis can be made in addition to attention deficit disorder, conduct disorder, ODD disorder, autism spectrum disorder. Okay, so it really is, in a year, you have to have at least 3 outbursts. And it's bizarre. It's not bizarre. It is really about, it's about your behavior doesn't match. Do you have those kids in school? Everybody have those kids in school that wreck the room, that total the entire room. They pull everything off the shelves in their room when they're upset. We can diagnose as early as 6, but it also can be much, much later.
Dr. Pam, I have a quick question in regards to because as I'm reading it, it sounds because I have a nephew who
Girl, you better not be diagnosing your family. You are not a king in your own kingdom. Never. That you don't know nothing. But go ahead.
yeah, so he does do this, right? So it can be something as simple as asking him what he wants to eat, and if whatever he wants is not available, then he'll like scream to the top of his lungs. He'll holler, he'll, like just like the reaction would be bigger than, what the actual issue initially was.
As in most disorders, it has to happen in more than one place. Does it happen at home and at school?
It did happen at school, like in kindergarten, but then it's gotten a lot better, but it's definitely excessive at home. But it has happened in school before.
What we say is if it happens only in one place, it's parenting issues, not diagnosing the kid.
Mhm.
That's a test answer. That's a test answer, okay? So again, I put that in your chat box. So we're looking at frequent or verbal physical aggression and must occur twice weekly for 3 months. So tantrums, arguments, fights, or aggression toward animals or people. So now I've got to differentiate between whether this is conduct or whether it's going to be an intermittent explosive disorder. Most often, I'm going to use this where I see it most is with young men. 20, 30 young men who really beat up the police, just a bizarre behavior. And the punishment doesn't match what happened.
Dr. Pam, does it have to be violent though? Or can it be just like
so I don't
if
have to
someone
hurt
had-
anybody. I don't have to hurt anybody, but I may destroy a room. I may pull, everything off the wall.
like if somebody doesn't walk fast enough, they like lose their temper.
That yes, yes,
Like things
yes,
that are just like
yes.
not.
But I might
like-
also push the old lady over because she's in my way.
Yeah, okay. So the intention is not to be violent, like more of the antisocial conduct, but
Okay.
to just overdo the, yeah. Okay.
Conducts are most often premeditated. And
Yeah,
these have shame or guilt. So I wouldn't, so remember, conduct disorders, antisocials have no shame or
they
guilt.
don't, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to make sure we understood in the questions. Let's go back to the scenario. And what we're doing today is, again, learning how to read the questions. And I know these are not how you see them, but I really want to teach this content to help you understand what to look for in the questions. Okay, I have 4 screens, so things just get lost. This one. Okay. So now I understand that Tasha's 31. She instantly feels hot and yells before she realizes she's been diagnosed with IED. What are our objectives? I'm still with you, Valerie.
With me. Identify physical and emotional cues of anger in 4 or 5 episodes. Use one coping skill, deep breathing, timeout, or grounding before responding. Log each anger episode and coping strategy outcome weekly.
Okay. So we see that this is her goal. The goal objectives are how we get to the goals. How many objectives do you need? Usually 3. How many goals do you need? Usually 3. Okay. That's not a test question, but in the real world, most often you have at least 2 or 3 goals, and then you have the objectives, how you get to the goals. So the SMART goal, the objectives are how we get there. So the objectives should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. So identify physical and emotional cues of anger in 4 or 5 of the episodes. So if I'm going through and I feel my temperature rising and I'm ready to hit somebody, that term is called chaining, by the way. So I can find that link in the chain. I can stop it before I'm already at 10. We teach that to borderlines too, right? When you feel like you're ready to explode, you go back and you stop it. So those are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. I'm going to log one coping skill, deep breathing, timeout, or grounding before response. What's grounding?
Grounding is basically it's hard to describe it. Grounding, let me just say I go outside and I walk on the grass, I'm grounding.
Okay. Hold on. I totally agree with you, but that's not the grounding for the test. Girl, I grow my grass just to ground. So grounding, not for the mental health test, is it reverses the negative, it nurses the ions in your body. There's research that says that our cell phones and all those things bring in all this awful energy. And the issues with that is because we have shoes and the elements in the ground ground us to keep those elements. It may sound crazy, but yes, I'm a firm believer in grounding. I have beautiful grass. Dogs, people in my grass, I will kill them. Not my dogs either. I keep it long and pretty. I comb it every day after work, and I walk barefooted in my grass. That's that grounding. That's a different question than this grounding. Okay. So if you want more about grounding, I'll let you know because I'm a firm believer of that. This grounding usually belongs to DBT or sometimes anger management. What does that mean? Anybody know?
You said
Gloria,
DBT?
you know that. Yeah. Gloria,
DBT?
what's grounding?
Dialect?
DBT
Oh.
uses it. Yeah, DBT uses it.
So does it have anything to do with like confronting or?
It literally means, for some people, it's touch something real. Touch the desk, pinch yourself, bring yourself back to reality.
You can use ice also. It's just bringing someone back to homeostasis, bringing them back to the baseline. So you to give them five things that you could see, you could touch, you could feel, you could taste, you could hear.
Okay.
That's
So it's used for DBT normally, and it's also
Mhm.
used for like anger management. Okay. The goal
Yeah.
is that we stop it before it gets all the way up here.
It can also be used for panic attacks
Yes.
and anxiety. Mhm.
Okay. So again, that's language you should know. At the LM level, you should know grounding. That's language you should just know.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Dr. Pam, can you just describe it a little bit more for me?
I
So
can.
is it just like being able to touch something, or?
There are several ways you can use it. The goal, Gloria, what's the goal of grounding?
To bring them down to baseline. To bring them back to where they are in reality in the moment, to just bring them back to baseline.
I'll give you some examples. So physical grounding can literally mean touch the desk. Okay. You're sitting in the chair, Pam, touch the chair.
Right.
So what happens, I've got, yes, I've got a daughter that gets very bad anxiety, and anxiety gets out of control. So sometimes it's literally, I will say, I need you just to go to your bed, touch your bed, and lie down. That's her safe spot. That feels good for her. So that's what we use. But let me give you a, put it in your chat box. So there's a couple of ways you can use it. The goal is whatever the thought is in your mind, stop. And whoosha, come back to where we're at right now.
Grounding is also good to use with veterans. Sometimes they tend to,
PTSD.
yeah, they get flashbacks and kind of, and if you're in therapy, they will kind of not doze off, but like stare into nothing. And instead of letting that happen, you should practice grounding where you're like, so what's going on? Where are you? What's happening? Touch the couch. Tell me what you see. So it's just trying to bring them to the moment versus then letting them go into those thoughts of flashbacks.
Thank you, Gloria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So these are a couple of ones, a couple of ways you can use it. Okay. So literally it is reminding you that where you're at and who you are right now, because whatever your thoughts are racing, whatever is going on, you need to take a breath and breathe. It's a lot like mindfulness, but it's literally usually touching something physical. Okay. So for the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's a way of doing it. So to reorientate clients who are experiencing anxiety, panic attacks, or disassociation. Physical grounding is that's my favorite. It literally just there's a desk in your room because your thoughts are racing, you're spiraling, and little things like, if we talk about cognitive distortions, and my daughter, right? I failed a test. I'm going to drop out of college. I'll get kicked out of college. I'll never be able to get a job. I'm not normal. I'll be homeless. Why am I wasting my time? And those thoughts spiral when she's a panic attack. Savannah. God, I hope she doesn't watch. She doesn't watch these videos. Thank God. Savannah, I need you to go to, because we start with HALT. Are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Are you tired? Okay. Once we go through those, okay, then maybe have you eaten today? So very basic physical things to stop her in the moment. So I use I don't treat anymore, but physical grounding is for her. Just baby, I need you to take your shoes off and lay in your bed. What does your bed feel like? cognitive or mental grounding. Those are your thoughts. I'm in Dr. Pam's office. It's Tuesday and I'm safe. And interpersonal, of course, remember INTR always means with other people. And of course, we can talk about spiritual grounding. Does that make sense? Does that help? This is almost always an LM term, not necessarily all of these things, but understanding that grounding helps me come back to a sense of reality. And sometimes I'll say to my daughter, I cannot go down that rabbit hole with you today. I can't. I just can't. I know you guys all have perfect children, but you know, they look great on my Facebook page, don't they? Okay. Does that help? Did that help? Did you learn something? That's almost
Yes.
always a question.
Can you send that or put that in the chat too?
I will.
Thank you.
When you are, so first of all, you know, I'm not a fan of taking test questions. I'm a fan of you learning. But if you're taking test questions and you see this term, literally just Google grounding plus social work or grounding plus psychology. You don't want to just, you don't pretend like you know it. Don't skip over it. Those are terms that you should know. Okay, I know, Valerie. We're still going back to you. I swear. I know, baby. Okay, we're still going back to Tasha. Okay, so. Okay, do you see Tasha still?
I see her.
Okay, so let's go back to Tasha. So now we've gotten her objectives. We understand where she's at.
Mhm. Okay, now the interventions is what we're discussing now again.
Got it. Now our interventions, remember, now we're looking at treatment planning. We came with the objectives with the client. And the interventions are based on my theoretical, it could be my style or what is the best to treat this client.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's read off the 3 of those interventions.
So we have cognitive behavioral anger management training, mindfulness and emotional regulation, psychoeducation on physiological arousal cycle.
Okay. So what does that mean? So CBT, I know CBT is the only evidence-based empirical treatment there is. CBT and meds is always the right answer for any mood disorder. Always. That's just a factual. It's the only one that we know for sure changes. So this one is CBT. DBT says mindfulness and emotional regulation. Why would I use that with someone who's got intermittent explosive disorder?
Just to bring them back to reality.
So mindfulness, yes, right? So mindfulness talks about enjoying the moment, just being in the moment. And emotional regulation, what's that about?
Isn't that like what your feelings, making like your emotions, making sure, well, regulation would be like balance, right?
So I want you to know that belongs to DBT and not guessing. Okay. So emotional regulation. Remember, DBT was written for borderlines, but it's also now used. Many school systems use that. So little kids, it's common for them not to be able to regulate their emotions. Right? Little kids, if I get mad, I'm going to throw a chair because I'm 6 and that's what I do. But grown adults need to know better, right? We don't get to do that. So that's one of the tenets of DBT, understanding and reducing vulnerability to emotions. One of the things that we know, especially with our borderlines or little kids, is he made me mad, so I hit him. Adults, do we do that? We might think about it, but we like looking, do we have enough insurance? What's the pros and the cons? But my emotional regulation is learning that I can feel this way, but I can control it. So emotional regulation, I told my daughters when they were little, especially just my daughters, because girls, their mood does not dictate their manners. Your feelings don't control you. You don't get to behave that way because you're feeling that way. Borderlines and adult kids, right? And anyone who hasn't learned to regulate their moods think, hey, I can just do whatever because I'm sad today. I threw a chair because I was having a rough day. So that's a tenet of DBT. So when we see these terms, there's no guessing. We need to know the knowledge behind the questions. Does that make sense? So when we're talking about treatment plans, it's based on, do you know what this theorist said? So those are the 4 tenets of DBT. Marsha Linehan likes to pretend like she owned mindfulness, but it was actually before her. But mindfulness, you get that calm app on your watch or your phone. Mm-hmm. And it tells you like when my anxiety is through the roof, it wants me to be calm. It wants me to sit still. I can't do that right now. So I really don't know how to turn my mind off. I don't have that option in my head, but I do change it to gratitude. So I will stop at the moment. Thank you that I like what I wore to work today. Thank you that the lipstick matched my shirt. What stupid little things, but that stops you in a track, right? And helps you go back and really go back and regulate the rest of your day. Okay, so we're back to the same question. So now I've got this case. She's got an intermittent explosive disorder. And I know the goal is to increase her impulse control and to teach her anger management techniques. These are my objectives, and these are the interventions. This is how I'm going to do it. What is the physiological response? Anybody? What does that mean?
How your body may react to how you're feeling.
Ding. Remember Maslow's bottom, the eat, food, clothing, shelter. That's physical. Don't be asking me something when I'm hungry. Maslow's hierarchy of needs says we've got to make sure those basic needs are met. So my physiological reactions. Oh, I maybe just me. Maybe y'all are normal. But you know, I get hot. That you pulled it. Oh, think about this weekend. Okay, I was traveling for the weekend for my birthday, and I had flowers, and I left them at the hotel, and I went back to get the flowers, and we checked out the hotel early, and I didn't want to carry the flowers with me. They put them in the refrigerator. I come back with my little car to get my flowers, and he's like, I don't see them. Excuse me. My 2 dozen red roses, 2 dozen. My birthday, and some little hoe got my flowers. That's my temperature's rising. It is rising. I know none of you ever feel that way. I know you're all perfectly sane adults. I understand, but for me, I had a moment. Okay, so that's the physiological. Okay, so I got them back. And I actually ended up just giving them to the person, but she wanted them and she could have them. So it wasn't, the person I was with said, I'll buy you some more. So, okay. But I know that's happened to none of you ever, right? None of you have ever got hot under your neck, turning and you're black, but your neck still turning red, right? You feel the heat rising. I know you're all normal people and I got my issues. I understand. But that's what that means. That's the physiological arousal. Okay. Y'all better bring me down because, yes, I'm professional, but don't forget I'm a Black woman. I'm ready to take the earrings off, right? You know, put some Vaseline on. And I'm lying. I would not know what to do.
Dr. Pam.
Yes.
Is there like a specific diagnosis for individuals who actually don't normally have those moments, like where a lot of little different things could be going on, but their first reaction isn't to kind of go all the way up to 100 or get instant.
I think that's normal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think what I do is.
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's normal. I don't think normal. Well, okay. Anyway, we're going to not discuss. We're not going to diagnose me today. But yes, but most of us have a push point, right? Most of us, we don't act on it, but we have a push point that I feel that rising, right? And the goal with anger management or panic attacks or any of those things is you stop it before it gets to that. I stop it. And when I feel it here, I don't let it get to the neck. I stop it. So psychoeducational on physiological arousal. When you feel your face getting red, I'm going to teach you how to stop it. You don't have to go to a 10. Okay. So, and that's how I'm going to evaluate it. So do we understand the case? We're all good? Yes?
Yep.
Okay. So now we're going to answer some questions. So based on my case, go ahead and say something. Somebody said something.
The psychoeducation, because I use that with my students at work. Like
What
if
does
they
that
come,
mean?
mindfulness, I'll play a video and it teaches them how to do the box breathing and kind of like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique that you mentioned before.
Okay.
So, and another thing, because I would say to them, think before you say and think before you do, and ask yourself, if I say or do this, can I get in trouble? And
So what you're doing with your students is you're using psychoeducation. Do you use that at work? Because that word, because what I want you to do is to make the language similar. You do this already. You all knew what grounding was. You might not know the definition, but you have used grounding at some point.
Yeah, I got to get better with the verbiage.
That's what I want to teach you because you do it already. You do it already. I want to give you the words that for what you do. Okay, because the test is written on the assumption is that you know the verbiage. Okay, now based on this scenario, this is our treatment planning. Okay.
Weekly self-monitoring logs.
So here's your first question, Valerie.
Oh, okay. The goal, increase impulse control. Align best with which theoretical orientation?
Okay, so stand my question. Understand the question first. What's it asking me?
The goal of to control the impulsivity, it says to increase impulse control. You don't want to increase it.
Increase the ability to control your impulses.
Right, to increase the impulse control.
The question is, which clinical orientation would use that? Okay, so read all four.
Right, which theory are we going to use to increase impulse control?
Okay, what are my four choices?
Psychoanalytic.
Okay.
Behavioral CBT. Humanistic and structural family.
So I know that my goal, impulse control, I go back up to my goal. Okay. And it says I'm going to, which one? Impulse control. I am going to, these are my objectives. Identify physical and emotional cues, use one coping skill, log each anger episode. So what can I rule out? Which clinical orientation would not say this?
Structural family.
Very good.
I'm going to eliminate the psychoanalytic.
What words would I look for if it were psychoanalytic? Psychodynamic. What words belongs to that theorist? Anybody?
Is that Maslow?
Unconscious.
Unconscious. Insight. Right? That's the words that belong to psycho. It used to be called psychoanalytic, and now it's called psychodynamic. That's Freud. There's nothing in the question that supports that. So now between B and C. So which one of these therapeutic orientations would use this goal?
I'm going to eliminate humanistic.
Who are my humanistic people?
Mm,
Carl Rogers, Maslow, and Virginia Satir. They put people first.
Which is Virginia?
Satir, Maslow, and Carl Rogers.
Okay.
Okay. So then that is my answer. A behaviorist would not care about how changing your thoughts. It would just treat you with rewards and consequences. And CBT would change your thoughts, then your behavior. I'm sorry, thoughts, feelings, behavior. Does that make sense of how we write treatment goals and why it needs to match up with our theoretical orientation? Now, I know you don't see questions like this, but you see questions based on this content. So I'm trying to teach you the content below each of those questions. We're not done though. Okie dokie. Rasheen?
Okay. Um, which smart revision of objective one would enhance evaluation clarity? So which SMART goal revision to objective one would enhance evaluation clarity? So,
Hold on. I'm going to go back to objective one. I'll put it in your chat
mhm,
box so you can see it.
okay.
Okay. What's the question asking me?
So it's asking me, I'll go back to the question.
If I were to revise objective one, if I were to change it and I wanted to rewrite it, which one of these would make it clearer?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see objective one in your chat box?
Yes. Okay, so which one would become? Yes, I do. So, um, I'm going to start with process of elimination. So,
Okay.
um, I would scratch because I would scratch off D.
Okay.
I would scratch.
Hold on.
Okay.
We gonna learn. I don't care if you get it right or not. Okay.
No, that's
So
fine.
reflect on emotions. Okay. Can I measure emotions?
Mm, I don't think so.
You can, but I wouldn't start
It
there,
would be a
right?
lot though, right? Like,
Okay, and reflection is what I do as the therapist. I talk about the emotions the client didn't say. So
mm-hmm,
that's not more measurable. That's a client goal. Reflection is what I would do. So I'm taking that one out. Okay.
mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, and then I'm thinking too, would that enhance evaluation clarity? Like that just doesn't seem.
Mhm.
So then A says identify physical cues sometimes. So I think I'd scratch that. Identify physical cues sometimes. I would scratch that off.
Because right now it says 4 out of 5 times. So the 5 times
Mhm,
she has an incident, at least 4 of those she'll able to identify the triggers. Okay.
mhm,
So sometimes doesn't make it clearer, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't enhance evaluation clarity.
Okay.
Um,
So now I'm between a B and C.
so um B says track anger cues weekly and note successful coping 80% of the time. That sounds smart to me. And then C says try to notice feelings more often. That doesn't sound like it's a smart goal, and that doesn't sound like it would enhance clarity. So I would scratch C.
So B makes it clarify, right?
Clear
So
makes it
instead of saying
yes.
4 out of 5, if I said 80% of the time, that's
Hmm.
measurable. Okay. Are you with me? Do you see where I'm at as we understand how we write the goals and treatment plans? I don't, Dr. Pam, I ain't never seen it. Yes, you have. You just
Yes.
haven't seen it in this stage. I'm trying to teach you content. If you learn the content, then when you get to the question, you'll know what they're talking about. Okay, Samantha, I'm with you.
Okay. Tasha's anger logs are reviewed bi-weekly to assess trends. This reflects.
So bi-weekly, right? The goal, if you go back to the top, one of her goals was to write her log each anger episode and coping strategy weekly outcome. So every 2 weeks, I go back and I read her logs. What's the goal of that?
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna
Rule out. We're gonna rule out.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna rule out C, termination planning.
Nothing to do with that.
Um,
I'm gonna do this. One second. I'm gonna put this in your chat box. So as you go back to the question, you can kind of look back on. 1 second. I just want you to go back to the scenarios to help you be able to figure out where we're at.
okay. I'm gonna rule out B, because she's not resistant.
Okay. So now I put I guess I put it in the chat box if you want to download, right click and download what we're working on so you can kind of go back to the part of what we've covered already. So I asked her part of her treatment plan was to do weekly assessments. Her anger logs are reviewed bi-weekly because I'm looking at trends, right? Am I seeing, is she getting better? Is she having more episodes? What's going on?
Right.
Is it because I need to ethically evaluate and progress monitoring, or is it because I need to reassess her diagnosis?
So I'm going to eliminate D.
Got it.
Because we're not changing the diagnosis at this point. And I'm gonna go with A because we want to monitor the progress that's being made.
Absolutely. If she's making progress, I might need to change whether she's making or she's not making. I might need to change the plan. Right. Code of ethics says, as much as I like for my clients to come see me all day, every day, once they're done, they're done. No, we all know there are lots of therapists that be keeping them clients a lot longer than they should. Okay. But for the test, when they're done, they're done. Okay. And with you, Yushana, I'm sorry.
The use of mindfulness as an intervention supports which goal element? So the use of mindfulness as an intervention support which goal element?
So what I'm looking for is of the goals that we talked about. That's why we need to open the client doc. If the goals that we talked about, go back up. Okay. Increase impulse control and use adaptive anger management styles. We talked about the intervention style, mindfulness, and using DBT. So the question is asking me, okay.
So let's see, we're gonna do is A, theoretical alignment and coping acquisition. B, diagnostic reassessment. C, family boundary clarification. And D, cultural accommodation.
What can I rule out?
I can rule out D.
Okay.
I can rule out C.
cultural accommodation. So what's the difference between assimilation and accommodation?
Assimilation and accommodation.
I take that back. I'll let that go. No, don't answer that.
You know,
It's acculturation and assimilation, and neither one of those terms are in this question. So just let that go. Okay. Family boundary belongs to structural family therapy. So now between A and B.
and let's see, theoretical alignment. I'm going to rule out B.
Okay. So in this question, what it's looking for is, why would I use mindfulness? Because mindfulness belongs to DBT, and that's the goal of mindfulness. Okay. Okay. Again, I realize they're not the way that you're used to seeing them, but I'm really trying to teach you to understand how the process works, what the questions are looking for based on what they're giving you. Okay, we're going to try another one. I'll put this in your chat box as well. And I realize they're written in first next style, but what most of my clients are missing is the content behind the question. What would I do first? Many times depends on what my theoretical, how I treat them is. So if we're talking about assessment and intervention, that means you're not familiar with the assessment tools and the treatment tools. Okay, I put it in the chat box. Make sure you can open it and right click it so you can save it. Okay, you see my screen? And can you save the vignette piece? Because I can't show you all the questions as well as the bottom. You good? Okay, I've got Aisha. She's 28. She presents with intense fear, avoidance of social events, especially networking at network functions at work. Oh my God, I got to go like be nice to these people that I can't stand. She describes physical symptoms, heart racing, trembling, nausea, and ruminates for days after the interaction, believing others are judging her. Ruminates means I can't get the thought out of my mind. That's a sign of OCD also, right? Those obsessions, the thoughts just won't go away. We've diagnosed her with social anxiety disorder. Okay. Social anxiety disorder many times goes along with agoraphobia. What does that mean?
Isn't that when you're afraid to go out in public or go places?
Absolutely. So many times you'll have agoraphobia with social anxiety. So I stay home. Now, this one doesn't say that. It just says that she has social anxiety disorder. So she gets anxious when she has to interact with other people. I know that her goal is to increase comfort and participation in social interactions. We're good? The objectives is that she'd attend one social event per week and document experience. If I am slowly getting her to do this, what theory is behind that when we teach you to deal with things slowly?
Does that have something to do with like exposure?
It does. Jacob, I'm sorry, Wolpe, he talks about systematic desensitization, who would slowly get you over your phobia. Perfect. You identify three CB cognitive distortions before the social interactions. My cognitive distortions, can you give me three? That's your thinking. Anybody can give me? There's a list of cognitive distortions.
Negative thoughts.
Okay.
Like,
What's mind reading?
Like thinking
Kind
you
of
can.
like fortune teller, right? Like,
Yes, my teacher thinks I'm stupid. How do you know that, right? So Beck with CBT says the problem is we have cognitive distortions. Okay, mind reading is one of them. We have magnification. What's that one? I make a molehill, mountain out of a molehill. Absolutely. So again, these are terms that you'll see on both tests. Okay. So Beck says we have stinking thinking, and Beck says you have automatic thoughts. And that's the problem is you wake up every day and you automatically think you suck. So my cognitive distortions are all or nothing thinking. What diagnosis would use that? I love you, love you, love you, or I hate you, hate you, hate you.
Is that borderline personality?
Ding, ding, ding. All or nothing. There's no gray. Okay. That's a cognitive distortion. Mind reading, fortune telling, overgeneralization. I failed this test. My rest of my life is ruined. I'll be sleeping in my car. Catastrophizing. Okay. So do these sound familiar? Those are the cognitive distortions. That's what Beck said. This is what people do. So you got stankin' thinking. So if we go back to her goal is to list at least 3 of the cognitive distortions. What are those thoughts that are in your head before you go speak? Oh my God, they won't like me. They'll think I'm stupid. How do you know? My third one is use relaxation breathing. Okay, that's a relaxation technique. Great objectives. We're going to use CBT. We're going to change what she thinks. Exposure therapy. Remember, that's WUPE, slowly exposing you to what you're afraid of. And I'm going to teach you about anxiety. Okay, we good? We make sense of that. We're going to evaluate based on the weekly self-report logs. How, if it comes to validity, are weekly self-report logs the most valid?
I would say no, because you don't know if she's being honest.
And y'all try to keep a food diary? Okay, I had 3 cookies. I write that down, but I forget. Maybe I forget. The second and third time I had 3 cookies. Okay, so they're not always purposeful, but okay, sometimes they are, but sometimes I just forget that I had 3 cookies 3 times. So self-report logs are the least value, but we're still going to use that. Therapist observation and reduction in avoidance. So over 6 weeks, I can measure how did she feel about the upcoming events. Okay, we're good. We understand her. Well, yes, we do, Dr. Pam. Thank you. Okay, we're going to raise some questions on her. Sorry, I have to find Aisha again. Okie dokie. My first question, Gloria, look at this one.
which objective most directly measures progress towards Aisha's treatment goal? So going back to the objectives, which objective most directly measures progress towards Aisha's treatment goal? Her objectives were to attend 1 social event per week and document experiences, identify 3 cognitive distortions that occur before social interaction, or use relaxation breathing before each event. It directly measures progress.
So let's go back to
Oh.
the question. What was her treatment goal?
Increase comfort and participation in social interactions.
Very good. So which one of those would directly measure, making this a SMART goal because I could measure it? What can I rule out?
I think you can rule out 3.
Okay. I can't really
Um,
measure journaling.
mm-mm. I think I'm gonna rule out 2.
Okay.
I think I
Understanding
can.
her childhood attachment history. Hold on before you go. What theorist would talk about childhood attachment? Anybody? Mailer, Margaret Mailer, absolutely. See, behind every question, there's a theory. We're not just pulling things out of the air. That's the piece we're missing. There's a theory behind everything we do. So B and C are out. Very good. Now you're between
Mhm.
A and D. Which one of these is the most measurable?
Reviewing psychoeducation materials at home is not going to help me measure, so it has to be A.
Got it. Got it. Can I? She said. I watched it, but can I measure that?
No, I can't measure that.
Very good. A is a better SMART goal because it's
Mhm.
measurable.
Mhm.
So am I going over questions that you've seen similar that you kind of got stuck with that we're not sure what to do with them? Okay. So this
Mhm.
should be, and again, not the entire vignettes. I understand that, but I'm trying to get you to understand the content of what the test wants you to answer. Okie dokie. Anne.
The counselor decides to introduce exposure hierarchy after Aisha learns relaxation skills. The sequencing reflects.
Okay, say my question for what's the question asking me?
Yeah, so it's saying the counselor decided to introduce exposure hierarchy after Aisha learns relaxation skills.
So what therapy is this?
Exposure.
So more systematic desensitization.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, but when Joseph Wolpe, if you're afraid of spiders or snakes, the first thing I do is teach you to relax, right?
Right.
So then we come up with a hierarchy of needs, what you're most afraid of. Okay. But first of all, I teach you how to relax. Okay. So now the sequencing talks about what? So I expose the hierarchy after I've taught her how to relax. That's exactly the way it's supposed to go. So now,
A, ethical referral process, evidence-based progression from coping to confrontation, premature termination, overemphasis on insight,
what can I rule out?
overemphasis on insight.
Okay. If it's insight, what theorist said that?
Freud.
Yes,
Yeah.
Freud. Insight is Freud. Absolutely. Behaviors could care less. I don't care why you're afraid of spiders or snakes. I don't care why you don't leave your house, right? So Joseph Wolpe is a behaviorist. He said, but I don't care why you do that. Insight is Freud. Good. Okay. What else can I take out?
A.
I don't think I did anything unethical, did I?
No.
Okay. So now between B and C, I'm going back to the question. I'm comparing the two to each other and which one answers the question. It's a reading test, Anne. Don't you think that hard?
Okay. B.
Ding, ding, ding. evidence-based progression. All that we know is that if we're looking at using systematic desensitization, this is how we use it. The term is called reciprocal inhibition. My body can't be both relaxed and afraid at the same time. So that's just a fact of whoopee. My body won't do both of those things. Show you that. So we talk about in vivo, that means live. And the goal of systematic desensitization is to get rid of irrational fears. I don't like spiders or snakes. Yeah, okay, so that's the goal. There are 3 phases of that. Let me show what that looks like. Okay. So this is called the hierarchy, right? But before I do that with the client, I'm going to teach her how to relax. Okay. And then with the client, we're going to come up with this hierarchy. Okay. Teach her to relax first. And then slowly, and again, this is, again, irrational fears. This is not PTSD. Exposure therapies with PTSD, that's like a real, like, I'm slowly exposing you to a real fear. This is, I'm afraid of the plane, the spiders. They're not real. They're rational fears. So the first step is to teach you to relax. And that term is called reciprocal inhibition. My body just can't be at a stage of anxiety and a stage of relaxation at the same time. It's not possible. So we go through the systematic desensitization in vivo live through the steps. Okay. We good? You still with me? Okay, so that was that one. Okay, let me go back. Okay, Yoshana?
Isha's anxiety remains Aisha's anxiety remains severe despite interventions. The most ethical next step is to, so it's asking about her anxiety remains severe despite interventions. So the most ethical next step is to.
So stand my question, right? So I got the treatment plan. I agreed with her. We're working on these steps. And no matter what I do, it's getting worse. Now this becomes a code of ethics question. What do I do? Read all 4.
Okay. A, continue the same plan without change. B, reassess for core med conditions and adjust interventions collaboratively. C, refer immediately to inpatient care. Or D, terminate treatment due to lack of progress. So I'm going to
no way, no how the answer.
D.
I cannot terminate. Sorry, you're not getting better. Bye-bye. Okay, I don't know what to do with you. Just go home. That's unethical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A, I'm going to remove A.
Okay. Got to do something different.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to remove refer immediately to inpatient care. Okay. And B is the answer.
Absolutely. What does that mean, though?
reassess for comorbid conditions,
Comorbid, what does that mean?
or morbid, two conditions at the same time, having two.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, if seek supervision was an option on my LM, that would be the best answer too. Okay. So if I've
Okay.
gotten to the point where what I'm doing isn't working, the always assumption is that it's me. It's not that it's the client, it's me. Okay. The LC, seek supervision, is not the answer. I can seek consultation, but always remember, I'm the best. There are very few times that you seek supervision. If you pick that on the test question, you make sure that you've done everything first before you seek supervision. So to reassess comorbid conditions, what's that saying is there could be something else going on that I am not aware of. How are we feeling? Are we learning something different? Just kind of looking at it differently?
Yes.
Let's do one more. That was Tasha with that one. I'm gonna pull up another one, but let's do some just content questions. Okay. Valerie.
Okay. A treatment plan states client will attend one NA meeting per week for 8 weeks. Why does this meet SMART criteria? Okay, so they want to know if the client makes one NA meeting weekly for 8 weeks, what criteria of a SMART goal it meets. It focuses on a counselor's action. It ensures general progress. It defines observable, consistent client behavior. It excludes cultural content. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate D. We're not talking about culture. I'm gonna eliminate A. It focuses only on counselor action. So we're not talking about counselor, talking about
Are
client.
the SMART goals about the counselor?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Again, a client will attend one NA meeting per week for 8 weeks. It ensures general progress. It defines observable, consistent client behavior. I'm going to eliminate B, and has to be something observable and consistent.
Very good.
Very good. C is the answer. Something measurable.
Got it. Okay. Anne. Yeah, Anne, take that one.
A client struggling with insomnia agrees to client will track sleep patterns and implement 2 relaxation strategies nightly for 21 days. What makes this an achievable goal? So the question is asking, is saying that there's a client struggling with insomnia and they agree to this goal that says the client will track sleep patterns and also put in 2 relaxation strategies nightly for 21 days. So it's asking what makes this goal achievable. So the answer choices are the short time frame and defined actions, the focus on emotional processing, the counselor's role as observer, the emphasis on symptom interpretation. So I would,
I'm lost. Okay. So tell me what the question's asking me.
yeah, so the question's asking, so it's saying that there's a client struggling with insomnia,
Mhm.
and they agree to the following goal, which is the client will track sleep patterns and put into relaxation strategies nightly for 21 days. So it's asking what makes this goal achievable. So I would eliminate B.
It's kind of hard to measure emotional processing, isn't it?
Yeah. Um uh I get actually
Which makes this an achievable goal? What in the question makes this so smart, it's right, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time based? Can I take out A?
um
Somebody said no. Tell me why not. Somebody said, Who was that?
I think Rasheen shook his head. I said, We both did something right.
Tell me what, girl,
I
don't you
was
passing the ball. No,
George,
Valerie, don't be passing the
that's
ball. Own it,
fine.
own it.
I will own it. Okay. I would eliminate off the bat C, the counselor's role as an observer.
Okay. So
Um,
achievable is about the client. Can the client achieve the goal? Okay. So I'm going to take out C. We're going back to Anne. She ain't getting out of the hot seat yet. Okay. So Anne, now we're with A and D.
um, um I would choose the answer as A.
Tell me why.
Because it talks about defined actions and like what exactly is like expected from the client, what they want the client to do. So that would like make it achievable.
Okay. The emphasis on symptom interpretation. What's wrong with that?
It's just talking about symptoms. Like it's not talking about like
But it's
like
symptom interpretation. Interpretation is subjective. That's how I see your symptoms, right? That's not factual. SMART goals are factual. Dr. Pam will always say Chick-fil-A sucks. It's just, I don't want to care if they know my name, they just suck. Is that factual?
no.
Just saying. Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays. Is that factual? Okay. So Symptom interpretation is somebody's opinion. They interpret it to this is what they think it means. So that doesn't make sense. Sorry, that's not my answer. Okay. I'll give you a couple more, guys. So the goal with treatment planning really is based on my therapeutic orientation, what the question's saying. I'm a narrative therapist. I'm a behaviorist. I'm a family therapist. What would I do? And it's also based on making sure I understand what SMART goals would be. Okay, let me give you a few more. Sorry, just trying to find these questions. Okay. Rasheen, I'm with you.
Okay. Okay, so the social worker and client, they collaborate on a goal. The client will increase coping skills. Which revision best ensures this is measurable? So, going back to the question, a social worker and a client, they're working together on a goal. The goal is the client will increase coping skills. What revision, which is down on the bottom, best ensures that this is measurable. Okay, so A says a client will identify 3 coping skills and use at least one per day for the next 2 weeks. That sounds good. B says client will increase coping skills as appropriate. Okay. C says client will talk about coping strategies in session. Okay. D says client will manage stress more effectively. So when I'm thinking about SMART, I'm thinking about time specific, measurable, all that good stuff. So I would scratch D and
Okay.
B. And
Okay.
then, so now measurable and best ensures that this is measurable. Client will talk about coping strategies in session. So that doesn't really explain much. So
I
I
mean,
would,
it makes sense, but
I
how
mean, it
do I
makes sense.
measure it?
But
That's
how
the
do you
question.
measure it? Right. When I look at A, that's makes much, it's measurable, it's, time specific, and then, yeah. So I would go with A.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Everybody see how we got there? Dr. Pam, you're 60 and you're beautiful and you're amazingly smart. Thank you for changing my life. Is that what you said? My dogs are not back yet. When I travel, my housekeeper keeps them. So I don't even have the dogs to talk to today. You're all I got. Okay. I'm so sorry. You're all I got. Okay. And I'll reiterate this. What I want you to understand is whether it's listed as a first, next, or whatever question, what most of you are missing is the theory behind it. You don't know your theories. You don't know that this is what a behaviorist would do or a psychodynamic would do. And they're written the same style. What would I do first? Treatment goals are based on not only the diagnosis, but my clinical orientation on the LM and the LC. Okay. Anybody want to debate that with me? Dr. Pam, you just made that stuff up 5 minutes ago. I teach differently than most of the other social work tutors teach. They don't spend a lot of time on teaching you the history of what we do, the clinical base of what we do. And yes, there's a first and a next, but you've got to learn the content. Okay. Okay, Samantha, this is your question.
Okay. A 42-year-old client with generalized anxiety disorder and perfectionism apologizes for not doing therapy right. Which treatment goal most reflects a person-centered and achievable approach?
Okay. So there's so much in that question. Before you look at any of my answers, there's so much content in there. Okay. So
Mhm,
he's got GAD. GAD is six months free floating anxiety, not tied into anything specifically.
mhm,
And he wants to be a perfectionist. That's OCPD. Right.
okay.
So OCD is the anxiety. It's ego. OCD are the people that come for therapy. They're ego dystonic. OCPD is ego tonic. Right. I want to be perfect, and I ain't come for therapy. I want to
Mhm,
just be perfect. That's the content I need to understand behind this question. Okay. And now I'm person centered. Who's that? And what does that mean?
Um, person-centered.
Is Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers said the client is the expert. All I need to do is show up every day and be empathetic, put myself in the client's shoes. I need to provide a non-judgmental, right? No judgment. And I need it to be, he used it genuine, but congruent. That means what's coming out of my mouth matches my body. Carl Rogers says nothing. He says, if I make this wonderful, safe facility, this great, safe space, the client will talk and talk and talk, and they'll figure it out all by themselves. Client centered, person centered, Rogerian all mean the exact same thing. My LMs, you've seen this on the test. You just didn't recognize what it meant. Carl Rogers says nothing. He smiles and nods. Thanks for sharing. Okay. So now let's read all four.
Okay. A client will demonstrate acceptance of imperfection by sharing one weekly instance of self-compassion. A client will stop apologizing entirely within 3 sessions. Client will replace all negative self-talk with affirmations, and client will identify unconscious guilt from childhood.
Okay.
Um,
I've got to figure out which one of these that a person centered therapist would use.
okay.
Right? What can I
Um,
rule out?
I'm gonna rule out D,
You are, who would say that?
Freud.
Dang, dang, dang. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. How about, what else can I rule out?
I will rule out.
What about C?
Yes,
Which therapist, what theoretical intervention would use that?
behaviorist.
Oh,
I mean,
self-talk,
cognitive.
CBT.
Sorry,
See, there
cognitive.
you go. Thoughts, feelings, behavior. There, there you go. Very good.
Okay.
So now I've got A and B. So now I'm down to two, right? I'm going to compare the two to each other. I've got to answer the question, right? So
Mhm.
she constantly apologizes for not doing therapy right, but I'm a person-centered therapist. What would I do?
Um, I would do a client will demonstrate acceptance of imperfection by sharing one weekly instance of self-compassion.
Absolutely. Even if I didn't know that, good job. Very, very good job. Good job. But even if I didn't know that, is B ever one that makes sense?
No.
I will stop. Right, client will decrease their amounts of time, but I don't know theorist that says we'll just stop. If we'd have like one session, right? If that were your treatment goal. So always, never, you'll just stop. That's not a realistic treatment goal. Dr. Pam will never, ever, ever eat Snickers again. Okay. Never eat a Kit Kat bar again. So, that's not a realistic goal. I don't have a sweet tooth, so that's actually pretty realistic. But if you say I can't, then I'm going to. That's just. I'm going to tell you, I was traveling this weekend, and I don't like to put gas in my car. I usually have someone does it. I think I'm not OCPD. I'm not, but I think gas stations are the nastiest place on this earth. I do. I think the handles. I got issues. I get issues, so I don't usually put gas in my car. Okay, so I had to put gas in my car this weekend, and I went into the store. I haven't been in a gas station since my kids were little. I'm like in awe of like all the things you could buy at a gas station. I'm like, it's like this whole experience of me, like, oh my God, you get like a pizza and a hamburger and like all these things at a gas station. Like, so my whole experience this week, it was, wow, look at that. I don't live a sheltered life, but I work about 1,000 hours a week. So I just don't usually have time for those things. Okay, this is your Gloria.
A client recently diagnosed with bipolar disorder reports inconsistent medication use. Which goal most aligns with evidence-based treatment planning and client empowerment?
Okay, so tell me what the question's asking me.
So this client was just diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Okay.
But they're saying that they are very inconsistent, not very, but they are inconsistent with their medication use. So I know that they've been diagnosed and they're not consistent with their medication. So which goal most aligns with an evidence-based treatment planning and client empowerment? So how can I empower this client under
there's another thing I need to know. What is the evidence-based treatment for bipolar?
For bipolar, it's CBT.
CBT and meds. Ding, ding, ding.
And meds.
That's the point I need to know. Absolutely. Any mood disorder, the only treatment that is evidence-based is CBT and meds. Remember, REBT and DBT are evidence-informed because they're an offshoot of CBT. So that's evidence-informed, but it's not evidence-based, right? Do we have any research that Carl Rogers works?
No, we don't
know. We do not. We do not. It is not evidence-based. We know that we can't be.
Client-centered. Okay.
Can we use that with pedophiles? You
no.
Tell me you molested a kid. I'm gonna go smile and nod. Okay, so it's evidence-informed or evidence research, but the only true empirical evidence-based is CBT and meds for mood disorders. That's a test question, okay? Just always understand that's a test question. So when I see that, I know it's CBT and meds because it's bipolar. Now, I know that before reading any of my 4 choices. Now let's read.
Client will adhere to all psychiatrist instructions immediately. Client will identify personal barriers and track medication adherence 4 days per week. Client will understand pharmacology of mood stabilizer. Client will eliminate manic episodes completely. Okay, so process of elimination, I'm going to eliminate D.
Y'all wouldn't have jobs if it came for if that was the goal. Like
exactly.
We wouldn't have jobs.
Let's see. Client will understand pharmacology of mood stabilizers. Client will identify personal barriers and track medication adherence 4 days per week. It's bipolar. I think I'm going to rule out A immediately. No.
Good, good, good. It's still a reading test. It's still just a reading test. They aren't trying to trick you. Now you're between B and C. You're going to compare the
Mhm.
two and go back to the question.
So B is client will identify personal barriers and track medication adherence 4 days per week. And then C is client will understand pharmacology of food stabilizers. And my question is, which goal most aligns with evidence-based treatment planning and client empowerment? I think the goal that most aligns with evidence-based treatment and client empowerment. Is it the client will, no, client will,
So, okay, let's process. Okay, between B and C, this is, and I'm not picking on you, but for most of you, this is what it feels like when you get to the test and you're like, "What's the difference? How do I figure out what they're asking me?" They both feel similar. Yes,
Mhm.
were you there?
yes, yes, yes,
Okay. The goal is to go back to the question. Okay.
yes.
What's goal? A treatment goal has to be a SMART goal. Which one of these is measurable?
Mhm. It'll be B.
Ding, ding, ding. Do you see maybe what you're, not just you, do you see what maybe you're missing because you didn't go back to the question? I can't measure understanding. I
No.
can measure if you can tell me the barriers.
Mhm. Yeah. That was good.
Okay, for all of you, does that help you get when you're stuck down to two? And Dr. Pam, they both make sense, and I don't know what to do. And I paid all this money for therapy for tutoring with you, and I can't figure it out. And you're cussing me out on the test. They look the same, but you have to go back to the question. Okay, Rasheen, you ain't eating now. You just taking notes. Now you have been eating this whole time. We're done, okay? So does that make sense? That really, what I really want you to get is the little minute things when it comes to intake and assessment and treatment planning. And all the questions is what you're missing, because they're those little bitty things that we just don't, we're missing in reading. Follow the rules, understand the question. And I know if I got 3 choices, I can only rule out one, but I'm going to get down to the 2. And because B and C both make sense. Yes?
Yeah.
But both B and C don't answer the question.
It was helpful to focus on that word goal.
It's a reading test. Go back to the question. Here's what and again, not just because I tutor 100 people a week. This is what most people do. They get down to B and C. They can compare B and C and then begin to think. Oh God, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do? I don't need you to think. I need you to go back to the question. There's no thinking allowed on this test. It's factual based on what the question is asking me. Everybody gets the same question. No thinking. No thinking. Just read. If I could get you all that makes you excellent social workers to leave that at the door, just take that little thinking cap off that you need every single day that makes you amazing. If you could just leave it at home that day, you'd pass. Just stop thinking. I know, easier said than done, right? Okay. Let's do a couple more. I gotta let you guys go. Rasheen, this is you.
Okay. All right. A client in recovery from opioid addiction says, I keep thinking about using again. With a short-term goal, which short-term goal is most behaviorally precise and reflects relapse prevention work? So, a client in recovery from opioid addiction says, I keep thinking about using again. So, which short-term goal is most behaviorally precise and reflects relapse prevention work?
Stay
Okay.
in my question. Stay in my question.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So A says a client will explore triggers for relapse. B
Stay
says,
in my question. Stay in my
oh,
question. Stay,
oh, you
not my
want, I'm sorry,
answer.
you want me to go?
I
Okay.
want you to tell. I want you to paraphrase. Tell me in
Okay.
your own words that you understand what they're asking you.
Okay.
Right.
So, what I'm gonna say, so now there's a client that is in recovery from opioids, right? And so it sounds like he's in denial, right? He states that I'm thinking about using again, right? So, um, yeah, there's a person with addiction, right, or in recovery for addiction, and they state that they're thinking about
I'm
using.
sorry. Where did you read denial?
Oh,
Oh,
I
you
didn't see
made up some
denial.
stuff. Okay, okay. Are you hallucinating? Did you see you can't be hallucinating on my test. No thinking. You put in words that weren't there. And I know that sounds silly, but that's what we all do. We read in words, we bring in our own stuff, and I can't do that. Everybody takes the same test. All I know is he's in recovery. And he's like, wow, I think I want to use again. Okay. I'm a behaviorist. What does that mean if I'm a behaviorist? Do I
You
care
want
about
to
how
help
he
him check?
feels?
No, you want to help him change their behavior. I mean,
By rewards and
positive.
consequences
Oh, yeah, reward.
only, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Behaviors, I don't care that your mama died and you want to use. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a behaviorist. Rewards and consequences. Remember, behaviorists do not care. Your daddy died yesterday. Get over it. Don't use today. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I want
Mm-hmm.
you to understand. So all of these terms, behavioral perspective. So this goal is I'm helping him to try to not relapse, but coming from my behavioral viewpoint.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
now
right. So as a behavioralist, would I, A, will yeah, A, the client will explore triggers for relapse, right? B, the client will identify and call a support contact within 30 minutes of craving at least 3 times weekly. Okay. C, a client will report all cravings immediately to the counselor. Okay. And then D, the client will suppress cravings through willpower.
okay,
So, um, so as a behaviorist, I believe it's about changing a behavior, right? And
okay.
so,
What can I
um,
rule out?
I would rule out, um, C, the client will report all cravings immediately to the counselor. That doesn't mean
I would not
anything,
have started there.
right?
I'm not saying it's the answer, but I would not have started. That's a behavior, right? I've got a craving,
Mhm,
call your therapist.
mhm,
I wouldn't start there. Okay. Because many times we tell clients, call your AA person, right? That's a behavior. That's a behavior.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
How about A? Would a behaviorist explore your triggers? No, they would not. I
No,
don't
that's
care about your
not what
triggers.
happened. Right.
Absolutely. Client centered,
Mhm,
anybody else like, but behaviorists do not care.
mhm.
Okay. When you think of behaviors, think about your dog, right?
Okay.
If my dog poops in the house, am I going to have a conversation with him of why he pooped in the house?
No.
I probably will, but most people, okay. I've got 2 Shih Tzus that I think are people, but no. So exploring is not a behaviorist. I don't care why you did it.
Mhm,
I would take out D. Okay.
mhm. I
Can
would
I
too.
can I measure willpower? Is there like a behavior
Mhm,
scale? Right? Willpower is a construct. I
mhm,
can't measure that. So now I'm between B and C.
mhm.
And
And so I'll go.
okay, now
So,
one of these is better than the other. So I'm a
mhm,
behaviorist. So let's
mhm.
compare the two to each other.
So B says a client will identify and call a support contact within 30 minutes of craving at least 3 times weekly. That sounds smart to me. C says a client will report all cravings immediately to the counselor. So what is that? So the best I would go with is B.
Very good, because that's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and
Time specific.
time-based. I
Hmm.
just wouldn't have started with C. That would
Hmm.
not, when I rule out the obvious, C is a behaviorist. That's a behavior that you can do. But that's not the best answer. Does that make sense? Are you guys with
Hmm.
me? Of again, I think most of you are repeat offenders, and I'm trying to pick up the pieces of why of what you're missing. Are we on the same page, Dr. Pam? You just pulled this stuff out of your bottom 2 minutes ago, or you're an excellent tutor and you know what I'm missing? I'm gonna go with B. You're an excellent tutor, Dr. Pam, and you know what I don't know. Okay, Samantha, what do you think? Did you learn something tonight?
Yeah, I definitely learned. I mean, this, I'm a repeat offender from my LMSW, but this is gonna be my first time taking my LCSW. So I'm trying to correct my errors from my journey with the LMSW. And
Very good.
I I definitely learned a lot, and I do feel like content really does help when it comes
It
to
it it really does. It really does. And
understanding the
I'm gonna pat
question.
ourselves on the back. We're the best. We really are. We really are. We teach you content, and I don't want you to take questions, 17,000 questions. I don't want you to do that. And if you do take questions, at least go back and know why you missed them. Increase your vocabulary. I should never ever have to teach you grounding techniques ever again. That's something you should add to your vocabulary. You're a therapist. You do this all day, every day, and you can use it with your family. I know I'm the only one with crazy in my family. I own that. You guys are all just regular people, and nobody's got any crazy but me. Okay, but come on, pretend you got some crazy in your family. Thanksgiving's coming up. Okay, it's gonna get, it's gonna get crazy. Okay, so okay. You'll get a set of questions. I'll put these in the chat box. You can have these right away. And whatever I use today. And you also get a second set that'll come over with from my staff. You'll get a copy of the video. I hoped you learned today. I don't care if you got it right, but this is a huge area where people struggle. And I just want you to understand why you're struggling, because there's no reason for it. Once you learn this content and you watch this video, how many times?
15 times.
15. Absolutely. It's a 2-hour video, right? So we're going to break it up into time span. I want to be the most important thing in your life. You know, I don't have a life, so I'll be the most important thing in your life for. I said that here. A couple things in there. Those were those. I'll put that already, didn't I? Cognitive distortions. And that may not be it. Hold on. Just want to make sure I put the right doc in your chat box. Open that. Is that the right one?
Are you talking about the case vignette?
Yes.
Or
Is that the whole thing we worked on today?
well, it just said that I already downloaded it, so it was asking me if I
Okay.
wanted to.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. It's this one. I'm just not sure how I saved it. Sorry.
No, that was just the one for Aisha,
Mhm, mhm.
not the whole thing.
Dr. Pam,
Mhm.
can I get the document from last week's group?
Did they not go out?
The your office only sent me the video.
Uh,
They didn't send me the documentation that you guys went over.
what did I teach last week?
It was like zero base.
Ask them for it because I'm pretty sure I sent that out. And
Oh.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to figure out where I saved what we did today. I'm so not gonna lie.
Okay.
Okay, that's that one. Okay, open up the okay, did I get that? No, common types of distortions. The common types of distortions. I think that's the latest one. So common types of cognitive distortions.
I have
That's
it.
the last questions I put in there.
Okay, I see it.
Okay. Okay, so yes, so I will make sure that it'll go out again from with the staff. So that's the one that's the last one. So all the other things I went over, but the last one we used was that one. Okay, so be sure you get everything from that chat box, right click it and save it. And email my staff. Did anybody else get documentation from last week?
I got the video. I didn't get the documentation, but
What did I teach?
oh, it was
Was it a community?
yeah, community. It was.
Was it community
Yeah,
or was it admin?
admin.
Yeah, it was in a direct practice. It wasn't
Oh,
that. It was
supervision. It was supervision.
yes,
Supervision.
yes, 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 yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let
Yeah.
me give you that right now.
Oh yeah, because you talked about cost benefit, cost analysis.
And direct practice.
There are probably questions associated with that too.
I have it. Is that it, Dr. Pam?
I was looking to see because I probably sent some questions with it as well. I don't think there's any questions attached to that one. But let me check with my staff because I usually send questions as well. Okay. Okay. Get everything out of the chat box. We'll get that right away. And then everything else you'll get usually about Monday or Tuesday. So I'll go back and attach some, I'm pretty sure I did questions on the social work admin and supervision as well. Okay.
Okay.
I hope you learned something today, and not just to memorize for the test. Really have a better idea of how we practice, that you're not just trying to memorize for the test, to get a bigger picture of the social work profession. That's really our goal. Yes, this test will not make you a better test. It might make you a better social worker. You know that. But I want you to have a better idea of the theory of where we come from, of where this practice is based on. Okay. Bye, guys.
All right. Dr. Pam, I'm gonna be I have a test date, so I'm gonna be doing I'll follow up probably tomorrow, but I'll be doing some one-on-one sessions. I'll be picking you, so I have a
You're on
date.
my personal time now, so I don't care. Bye.